Hello, my name is Matthew, and so I just made a video talking about Clarissa by Samuel Richardson, and I had an end goal of wanting to read Pamela by Henry Fielding. Tom Jones is an absolute hoot. But the trouble is, even though I read Clarissa, this is a satire on Pamela. And so, even as a surprise to me, after spending all this time with Richardson, nearly the next book that I read was Pamela by Richardson. This is also another upholstery novel, letter correspondence, and at first glance, I'll show beautiful bookmark, gift from a good friend. At first glance, it might seem like they are very similar books. They're both books primarily as a letter correspondence from a young lady, Clarissa, Pamela, but they are very different books, even though they follow a relatively similar format. For one thing, this is tremendously shorter, and even though it is, I'll hold these up together, even though Pamela, to modern standards, is slow going, after finishing Clarissa, the plot of this book moves like a racehorse compared to the Clarissa. And we do have very different circumstances. Clarissa was very much held hostage. Her means of escape with Lovelace put her into compromising circumstances, dangerous circumstances to herself and her reputation. In this book, the action, the advances of, gosh, now I forget the guy's name, but the, what was that guy's name? I forget. But the master of the house, Pamela was one of the maids for the matriarch of the family, and she ends up dying. And so now the master of the house has a maid with no woman to tend to, and he's kind to her. Pamela is writing letters to her mother and father. Immediately, almost the very first letter in response to Pamela's first letter to her parents is that this guy, I forget his name, it's embarrassing, but this guy is a villain. You need to be cautious, be careful with how you receive his advances. And Pamela is relatively innocent, good-natured, and thinks like, well, no, he's just being nice to me. And very quickly, this guy is groping Pamela and grabbing her and kissing her, and she's pushing him off, running out of the room, having fits, crying, passing out. And she's now just sort of stuck in this situation where she just wants to go back home. Her parents are poor, and she's found herself in a relatively good situation financially to make money that could potentially help her family. And so she wants to have a job. She doesn't want to be attacked by a monster in this house. She also doesn't want to leave and put a burden on her parents. And there's other servants and maids in this house that she's talking to. She takes solace in one of the women. I think her name was Mrs. Jervis. And then she's so afraid, Pamela is so afraid to sleep in her own bed at the risk that this guy is going to come in and sexually attack her, that she's now sleeping with Mrs. Jervis in her bed. So they're putting on their night clothes. And there's this ridiculous scene where, I wish I could remember this guy's name, because I feel like it's embarrassing. But the master of the house is hiding in the closet, and he's eavesdropping on Pamela and Mrs. Jervis. Finally, he bursts into the bedroom and starts groping her and kissing her while they're both in bed, and it's bedlam, pandemonium. The whole household goes upside down, and each time that Pamela is rebuking his advances, he's telling her, "Don't tell anybody, because it'll ruin my reputation. And what I'm doing for you is your own good." And he is not as good of a complicated, complex character as Mr. Lovelace. Clearly doesn't have as memorable as a name. um, but he's manipulating her and telling her things and kind of purposefully kind of blurring and muddling up her mind. Um, Finally, they have this back and forth, and he agrees to send her back home. She just wants to go back to her parents. And so the carriage pulls up for her to go back home. But he has other designs. He ends up essentially abducting her, sending her off to another house to keep her hostage until she learns what's good for her. And again, like Clarissa, I don't want to spoil too much of climactic events because it is slow going, and it is if you know those bits, it does take away from the enjoyment of the book. Even though the writing style is beautiful. Again, Richardson's mastery of having these different letter writers have their distinct personalities on the page is impressive and convincing, and he has the ability to carry many, many notes. So Pamela and the different characters in this book are their own people. They don't sound, nobody sounds like Clarissa but Clarissa. No one sounds like Anne but Anne. No one sounds like Pamela but Pamela. I would say this book has a less strong cast of characters than Clarissa, but it is more fast-paced. There's more things going on. It's closer to the obvious, lascivious, licentious aspects that you would find in contemporary or later naughty French books. And there's also a surprising turn of events, let's say, in this book. Something that I did not see coming, and I found very interesting and quite well done. But ultimately, the reason that I wanted to read Pamela is because I wanted to read Shamala by Henry Fielding. So let me see if I can make another video and talk about Shamala. Okay, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you and take care.